Hello everyone, my name is Chin Valdez, and today we're gonna be talking about my build for probably one of the best free-to-play friendly jobs in The Ragnarok, the Wizard. So upon recording this video, we're actually already at the last 10 minutes before the CBT closes. So right now we're sitting at level 61 and we pumped all of our stats into intelligence and luck. So why do we not have dex just yet? While dexterity can and will be extremely useful later on in the early stages of the game or in the early stages of our build, you won't really be using dexterity too much and you'd be benefiting a lot more from intelligence and luck. Now, why luck? Because everything here in the game crits. So right now, our wizard is sitting at 50 crit. That's why you see our soul strike critting, and we just pump as much intelligence as we can for the damage. Now we get enough dexterity from bonus stats from job levels as well as cards to give our soul strike no cast time, which can make it very effective for farming or grinding early game. For equipment, it's actually very straightforward. From what I've seen so far here in the CBT, every job gets a specific mythic gear and you kind of just have to follow along that path. So for the wizards, it's the Sulut equipment series. So everything here is named Sulut. Now where it kind of gets interesting is about the cards. So for headwear cards, I would very much recommend going for Elder Willow cards. It gives you intelligence. So both for the headwear, the mouthwear, and the facewear. Yeah, we have Elder Willow cards. For the armor, we're using pouring cards for more luck, which will increase our critical. On the weapon, we're using Lunatic and Drops cards for critical and dex. On our shield, I'm personally using Ogre Tooth to reduce damage taken from medium-sized monsters, which will help us in PvP as well as some monsters in the world. On our cloak, I'm using mastering cards, which will give us more luck, which will then increase our critical hit again. Now, for the footwear, here in the CBT, we were given these boss cards. So I'm using the Amon-Ra and the Moonlit Flower card, which came for free here in the CBT. But assuming like we don't get these in the open beta or during the global release, I would highly recommend going for Sohi cards, which will increase our SP and SP potion recovery, because wizard AoE skills are very expensive when it comes to SP, which we will get into later on. And for accessory cards, we're going for whatever gives us dex, in which case it's Stem Worm and Zerum cards. Now for skills, our primary DPS or damage skill is going to be Soul Strike. Now, I'm not sure how things actually work here in The Ragnarok, but for some reason, even while going for level 10 bolts and even going for monsters' elemental weaknesses, I'm somehow still getting more damage from my Soul Strike. So I have tried going for level 10 bolts. Now, Soul Strike requires much less SP compared to level 10 bolts. Actually, even the level 10 Soul Strike requires much less SP than a level 1 bolt. It also fires much faster than bolts. And for some reason, it's still dealing more damage than bolts against an enemy's weak element. So while I normally wouldn't recommend maxing out bolts, maybe if I was gonna reset my skills again, I would probably max out one bolt, any bolt of your choice, maybe Firebolt or Cold Bolt, because some monsters may actually be immune to Soul Strike, like the Whispers. So sometimes these mobs can't be avoided because they're part of a quest or part of like one of your dailies. So I found that Whispers are actually immune to Soul Strike. So I find myself using one of my more SP expensive skills to actually just go and kill them instead of just leaving it be and be more comfortable with the low SP skills. But for now, what I have is level 10 Soul Strike, level 10 Frost Driver, and level 10 Zen Heart. And of course, level 1 Energy Coat. So these will be your most important mage skills here in the skill tree. Firewall is also pretty effective here. Like especially against mobs that you're having trouble fighting. Firewall is very, very effective. I often have it on auto when fighting against something like Raidrix or something, while I'm still at my low level. And then the rest of your skill points, like I said, maybe I'd probably pump into like one of the elemental bolts. But I just had everything at level 1 just to make it look pretty. Now, I do have sight here, but I rarely use sight because right now, like the only jobs to actually get to hide are the assassins, and there aren't too many assassins. Just like in other Ragnarok spin-off games, assassins are usually for the whales, and here in the CBT, there aren't too many whales, and if you're fighting against a whale, you're probably gonna be dead anyway. So I think this would be optional. Now for our wizard skills, your primary sources of damage here are gonna be Meteor Storm, definitely max this out, and Fire Pillar. Now I was watching one of these YouTubers that I recently discovered, Breaker Pain, who taught me about Fire Pillar. And it's been extremely effective, especially in large mobs, because it has very short cooldown. Actually, it has no cooldown, and it deals more or less the same damage as a Soul Strike. But the thing is, it's able to hit in an AoE. So it's helped me clear a lot of mobs in different PvE game modes here in the Ragnarok, such as Endless Tower or the monster hunting mode thing. So Fire Pillar has saved me so many times. Now, Meteor Storm is Meteor Storm, just like in any other Ragnarok spin-off game. It's extremely powerful. But I did mention that skills here cost a lot of SP. So Meteor Storm here right now at level 10 costs 565 SP. And right now, if you check my stats here, at level 61, I only have 2,347 SP. And also, the hard-hitting AoE spells here actually have a long-ass cooldown. So Meteor Storm actually has a 30-second cooldown. So unlike other Ragnarok games, you're not able to spam the AoE skills here. They kind of use like an ultimate move. That's why I recommend getting Lord of Vermilion as well. Normally you would not, alright? Normally we don't get Lord of Vermilion, especially here in the Ragnarok. It doesn't even have the ability to blind enemies. Normally, Lord of Vermilion is able to blind, but here in the Ragnarok, it's just straight up damage. Now, why would I rather get level 10 Lord of Vermilion instead of level 10 Storm Gust? Actually, Storm Gust levels don't really increase freeze duration or anything like that, or even freeze chance. They just straight up get frozen, even at level 1. But what I liked about the Storm Gust passive here is every time enemies get hit, it actually increases wind resistance penalty. So you can kind of see where I'm getting at here. So even with a level 1 Storm Gust, so my combo would normally be like I'd run a Meteor Storm because it has long cooldown first, and then Storm Gust, and then I go into LOV or Lord of Vermilion. You kind of see where I'm getting at here, like where the damage increase is. So like with these 3 skills, the damage can be pretty devastating in an AoE, where the wizard definitely excels at. Now, skills kind of work differently here in the Ragnarok. You only need to invest 1 skill point per skill to get to the next branch of the skill tree. So I did get the earth skills here to get to Quagmire. But early game here in the Ragnarok, we're definitely focused more on PvE. So you could also opt not to get these earth skills, not to get Quagmire, because we're mostly just going to be using this for PvP anyway, and just pump it into either Storm Gust or Lord of Vermilion, wherever you decide to level 10. You know, like you can actually go level 10 Storm Gust and then level 5 Lord of Vermilion if you find yourself using Storm Gust more. But for me personally, I've been finding to use Lord of Vermilion more because there are a lot of mobs here that are resistant to water damage. Or at least from my experience. So I opted to go for a lower level Storm Gust and a level 10 Lord of Vermilion instead. Now, if you've been playing Ragnarok Origin, there are pretty similar game modes here. There's also Guild Expedition here, but it's named Dawn Battle here. But it's basically Guild Expedition. There's also War of Imperium. There's Endless Tower. They're pretty similar game modes here. So it's gonna be pretty much straightforward, especially for veteran or old Ragnarok players. For now, since a lot of the mechanics haven't been unlocked just yet, like I see we do have like a rune system here, kind of similar to our feather system in ROO. We also have an artifact system here, and we also have ancient gear. So there are a lot of mechanics here that are pretty straightforward, and we could be making guides on these if needed. But for now, like it's not really too complicated to understand. It's very straightforward. Just get it, level it up, then gives you stats. So moving forward with our wizard, we will be increasing our dexterity more as needed. Alright, as needed. It will reduce the cast time of our AoE spells. Like, it will reduce the cast time of our Meteor Storm, Storm Gust, and Lord of Vermilion. But for now, we don't really need it too much. You know, we're not spamming these AoE skills. They have a 30-second cooldown, 20-second cooldown. We're casting it one time every rotation. So I opted for more damage. Like I said, no, we are critical hitting and we're just pumping intelligence for more damage. Now, I say the wizard is very powerful even in the hands of a free-to-play player, because regardless if you're a spender or not, regardless if you're pumping damage or not, your utility is there. So Storm Gust AoE is gigantic. So we have a really big range here for Storm Gust. It will freeze enemies in place. I always tell people, you know, like in these Ragnarok games, there aren't really 1v1 modes here, or there aren't really 1v1 PvP modes here. It's mostly gonna be large-scale PvP. Like, all of these AoEs will be very, very potent. Frost Driver here freezes enemies at 100% chance, but it does have a 30-second cooldown. But it's still very and extremely potent. And same thing with Frost Nova here. This time with a 60-second cooldown. So you see where I'm getting at here, why dexterity isn't really too important early game. All right, early game, it's not too important because we're focused more, or we have to focus more on PvP. It's very important to get those levels in. Now, I haven't really been playing too regularly. You know, this is just the CBT. So I haven't really been pumping my EXP or my grinds too competitively. But you will want to focus more on leveling up faster. That's why I think the wizard is very, very, very effective, especially if you're a free-to-play player. It's very easy to take on any and every content in this game using the wizard. And I have tried using a melee class like the swordsman. It's so hard. You're competing against everyone for leveling up. You're competing against everyone for grinding. So my plan is to use the wizard first, and then when 2-2 jobs come, I probably go switch to monk or crusader. But starting the game, I highly recommend going for the wizard or the acolyte class. You know, like priests here are also very overpowered. Even sanctuary deals damage. You know, like priests are probably also one of, if not the best free-to-play classes here in the Ragnarok. So again, upon recording this video, we are in the CBT right now. It should release in a few weeks. Yeah, at the end of the month of October, the Ragnarok will release in OBT. And for free-to-play players who are watching right now, I highly recommend going for either the wizard, the priest, or the hunter. I think these three jobs are the best free-to-play jobs in the game right now. And later on, as we unlock more PvP game modes, we'll be tackling that as well. Maybe we'd even make more guides, tips, especially for PvP. If you guys have already been watching our videos here on our channel, you know I really focus more on the PvP more than the PvE side of these Ragnarok games. So stay tuned for those. Special shoutouts again to Breaker Pain. He's given us so many tips for the Ragnarok, and it's helped me also a lot, especially in our CBT journey here in the Ragnarok. If you enjoy the content, consider liking and subscribing. As it was in Ragnarok Origin, we will be uploading more guides, tips, and tricks here on our channel, Chin Valdez TV. Turn on that notification bell so you don't miss out on our new videos. Hope to see you all on the next one.